Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Michigan. Man, am I glad to finally get to do another video. We went through a 3-week cold spell and there really hasn't been a whole lot new going on because it's just so cold. It was so cold, and right now it's windy, but it's 42. Hopefully my audio will be okay. I'm trying to talk loud and close to the phone, but we did get a lot done with setting up with the trim for the siding, like right here, and where the cultured stone's gonna go. So I wouldn't mind talking about like the product we used and how we like it and how we installed it. It's called Boral, B-O-R-A-L. It's made out of the leftover ash from coal plants, from what I understand. And it is, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty brittle, but out of all the pieces we've done, let me get out of the wind here. And it's pretty decent to work with. I'm trying to think of all the things I want to talk about with it. The dust is really fine, so make sure you wear a mask. The closest product that it reminds me of is like a hardy backer board that you'd use to put down tile. But it's a little bit different. In fact, it feels like it's kind of like halfway between MDF board and hardy board. It's kind of right between there. Let me show you what they actually look like. We got our siding here too. The siding is called Allura. We're gonna get to this. This is our next project, but if you look down, here's it's called 5/4, which in most cases a 5/4 board would be 1 1/4 inches, because 5/4, 4/4 would be 1 inch, 4/4 equals 1. But for some reason, this is still 1 inch, even though they call it 5/4, and it's still the nominal size, like a 1x4, which is 3.5. You can see, looking down, some of them, they're extremely crooked. They don't have any bow to them, but they have like a real steep crown. What we did on a lot of those ones is those were the ones that we used on the soffit with crown up. And like I said, it's heavy and brittle. We had about 5 times the amount of this stack right here. And we probably broke 2 boards. So and then once you break it, you can use the broken ones for shorter pieces. So it's really not that big of a deal. Once it's in though, it's durable, and from what they say, it does not expand and contract with the heat and the moisture hardly at all. The lumber guy that delivered it, Ray, which is a really nice guy from Curtin Lumber, said that, I think it was him that said it. Yeah, we talked about how we installed it. You can nail it. They said they used nails when they used it, but I think it was either him or a video I watched that said that you can put these in pretty tight because most likely it's going to shrink over time a little bit more than expand. So some of the stuff near the beginning, we were kind of treating it like wood a little bit, so I left a little bit bigger gaps than I want, like that I probably should have. But when I say left a gap, I'm talking maybe like 1/8 of an inch on each side. But near the end, we just started putting them in kind of snug. You don't want to cram them in, but you know, leave a little space. So from one side to the other, if you cut the board like a 1/16 shy, I think that it looks good as it goes in, and that's kind of what we ended up doing through like the last part. So we did probably 50 linear feet, a couple bigger gaps, but it's nice to be out of this wind, even though right now it's saying it's 46 degrees, but it is windy outside. I did want to point out that I've never done this before. I probably will get some comments saying, you know, I did something wrong, but that's okay because I just challenge myself on the new stuff, and that's kind of how you learn. You just go along and just try new things, and you learn along the way. Anyways, let me go out here. There's some stuff that my wife and I, we looked at a lot of pictures and saw some videos, but some of this stuff is just, it's not really like a code thing. It's more of a preference thing. Like, how high up do you set the stone? When do you drop elevation? So I welcome the comments to see what other people's opinions would be as far as the look of it. So anyways, here we're back out in the wind again. So this is basically what we did. We bent, this is like a 6-inch piece with a 3/4 hem bent under it. This is 1 1/4 lip, and this is about 4 inches. We ended up using the screws, the same screws we use as a soffit. It's from Timber, I think it's called Big Timber. They're small head screws. They are a T10 star bit. and we used 2.5 inches, and it worked out good. And one pointer I can say, and a lot of trim guys would already know this, since I decided to put this as the face 3.5, since it's 1 inch, we ripped these side ones 2.5. And at first, when you're at the saw, it seems like, well, this won't look right. But when you look at it from a distance, from that corner, you have 3.5 now on this side and on this side. So you got 3.5, rip cut 1 inch off, 2.5 inches plus your 1 gives you your 3.5. So, and the bend on the aluminum, I talked to a cultured stone guy, and he said that with that lip, bend it at 110 degrees, so you're at a 90 plus open another 10 degrees. Oh, I was afraid that was going to start happening. We tacked this up. Oh, here's another thing too. See, on the garage door, a lot of times they'll extend that, but if you're using cultured stone, I saw a video, I can't remember who it was, or else I'd recommend watching if you're about ready to do this. But he said instead of stopping the stone at the jam that would come out, use corners right here. And I actually called the lumberyard and said, how long are your corners? And he said they range from anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches as it wraps. And that's from the inside corner. So you're still gonna have 1.5 inches to 2 inches of stone out here. And so you can always cut. I just went based upon the shortest stone he said, so you don't have, so this is gonna get aluminum wrapped. But before we do the aluminum wrap, you wanna cover that pressure treated. So the lumber guy said, you know, I was going to use some felt paper, but that would be thick and crunchy, kind of bending it around that board. So he said just Tyvek would be fine, as long as you have some type of barrier between the aluminum and the pressure treated, and it should not corrode. And I also heard that they soak it in a different chemical that doesn't cause the corrosion anymore, but I don't want to take that chance. So let me go and show you some of the decisions we made that aren't right or wrong, but they're just our preference. We basically measured up about 8 inches on the window, and we were gonna put the stone right below the window. We didn't know that the brick molding that came with the window came with a nice sill already. So we thought it would be silly if you had the sill of the stone under another sill. It just seems to me like that wouldn't look good because you got 2 double stacked sills. And that's another thing, the aluminum you put in, we made sure, like we're missing a stud here, but I made sure I hit every single stud. And anytime I missed a stud, I pulled the nail. And what that does is when you go to do the siding, you can just draw plumb lines up, because it's really important when you install this siding, you really want it to go right into the stud. You don't want any nails sticking through the 1/2 inch OSB. To me, you don't want to do that. I see that a lot on some old school houses, but on the old school houses, they used 1x, so you got 3/4 pine. But when you're nailing into some OSB that's I mean, I guess if you used 5/8 it'd be okay. But we want to hit every stud as we go. And that's not going to be too hard. It takes us some more time, but you just draw some lines up or plumb them. I think you could chalk it, but it's almost easier to just take a 4-foot level, slap it center to your nail, and just draw a line and go for it. But also, the aluminum will expand and contract, not so much because it will be covered by cement board, which will keep that aluminum cool. And we might get a little bit of oil canning in there, but we did leave a good 1/8 of an inch at least off the edges of the windows, just in case it got crazy. You know, it has somewhere to go. All right, let's get over here. But we got all this done. The front porch was exciting because we had to do beveled rips all on the bow window, the insides and outside 45. So it took us like 3 days to get the, wow, I'm walking through water and slush, but this is the spot where, so anyways, we decided, you know, 8 inches seems good. The dirt's pretty much right where it's at on this part of the house. That stone to me seems like it's already kind of high. So we didn't want to come up like 2 inches from the sill, because then now they're still too close. But we figured about 8 inches is really what we wanted. Another thing, what we did is once we found one measurement, we just decided it's like 6.5. We made it to where when you measure from the soffit down, it was 80 inches. So then what you want to do is you want to keep that 80 inches measuring down the level, perfectly level is probably already going to happen because you used all factory studs at, you know, the standard height that you do for a 9-foot wall. We double checked it by just slapping the level on the aluminum inside lip there, and it was pretty much dead on. There's some spots that it's still in the lines, so You want to be going up parallel to where when you get up, and then once you get up about 4 or 5 up to the top, just do a quick measure just to make sure. You don't want to end up where you can see a difference in, you want that parallel piece on the top to look nice and parallel and equal measurements on one side or the other. Another pointer I could tell you is, we didn't know for sure how to do like the Queen Anne's. This is a good example. I'll go around the back, but my friend Matt Jashurin, he's a great builder. We've been great friends since high school. I called him on this, and he had a good idea. At first, I was gonna come around and I was gonna notch the Boral trim around the drip edge. There's no rhyme or reason with that. You got drip edge and then some shingles, so nothing's perfect there. It's all gonna be different cuts. What he recommended is draw a line, cut that out of there, and then your board just slides behind it, and then you caulk that. We also left the rake one spaced at least, I think we went like 3/8 to a 1/2 inch off the shingles, because if water gets in there, you do want that water to be able to flow. So we did that, and then we came up with a good idea. Before we even put that one in, I put another piece of, you can see that vertical step flashing there. I bent a 90-degree angle and then cut the side that sticks out towards the fascia about 3/4, and then slid that one up under the last step flashing. And then even before I did that, I put some quad caulk in there. Then on the top of the bend, the 5/8 to 3/4 bend, I notched it like this, and I was able to slide the straight wider part under the step, and then a little lip thing under the step flashing. And then I caulked it again. Then I put that in, and then since you have the 1/2 inch gap on the rake coming down, you probably guys know this from my videos, I'm always slooping down because I'm not a photographer. But anyways, that 1/2 inch gap coming down, I put some more quad. I have some quad that matches my shingles. Squirted a bead in there, and then I took like a wood shim and scraped it to create this slant, so that it sticks tight to the step flashing under the rake Boral trim, and then if any water got there, it would just slant right out. And then that right there will get caulked with white Boral once this all in. I'm gonna have to caulk this. We thought it was gonna be so tight that you wouldn't have to, but no matter what, we had variances and waves a little bit that created some gaps. And you can push this up quite a bit, but the problem is now you've got a wave in your Boral. So it's like you're better off having a little bit wider gap. And when I say wider gap, 1/8 inch, the biggest gap that I wanted to see was like 3/16, but from down here, it looks good. And then right here, then we figured we didn't want cultured stone to go just the same level all the way across the house. It would still look good, but I'm thinking, what could make it look better? So what we did here is we decided, since these windows here are a foot longer than these windows, we decided, well, why don't we keep it to 6 inches on the lower ones? And sure enough, that right there, when we measured it after we chalked the lines, it ended up being exactly 12 inches, exactly 1 foot. We also, at the bottoms of our cuts, I did a bevel cut of 10 degrees to where you still have a little gap on the short end of the angle up against the inside part of the metal. And then that degree kind of will match once the sill stone goes up. Another thing I've talked, because I didn't know this for sure, I was like, what comes first, the cement siding or the cultured stone? And a video said it depends on who you ask. If you ask the siding guy, he'll say that he comes first, and if you ask the cultured stone guy, they come first. Well, since I'm both, that left me confused. But then I realized, like, geez, none of this ground is set right now, right? Look at that, water building up, it's got holes. Come spring, which is another month, we're gonna bring in some nice fresh fill sand, get this leveled up. So in my opinion, and if you did cultured stone first, even if this was leveled off, all the caulking and painting that you do, where could you get the caulk and paint on? You would get it all over your cultured stone. So in my experience so far with doing this, I see no disadvantage of doing your siding first, because you can still put your lath up here, you can still screed it. This is fiberglass, so it'll wipe off real easy. And you can still put maybe a thin bead of quad under there by the Tyvek to seal that in, and your stone will just mortar and slide right up under that. So I just don't see a disadvantage of doing. I would prefer always do your siding first. Now, feel free to comment on why that's not a good idea. Another pointer I could give you, No matter how we framed this to where it was perfectly like dead in the lines plumb. You're still gonna have OSB expanding a little bit in certain areas, just the way the Tyvek goes on, the way the sheeting comes together, where you have kind of humps. What we did with the hump, let's say that you have a hump right here that humps out right here to where these can't be flush screwed. We drew a line, took the board back off, cut the Tyvek out, and chiseled the front end down to where this is still the 1 inch out here, but then it just turns slant slightly to get it to go there. Then we just pile it in here, and then believe it or not, that 2.5, I was afraid it would blow this out, but we just slightly went in, slightly on an angle this way, still catch that 1 inch. And I tell you what, guys, once it's installed and screwed, this is really, it's tight. It is rock hard. And I love Boral. It comes with this wood, you might not be able to see it on the phone, but this wood pattern here, and the other side is a smoother pattern with slight lines in it. But any siding guys or cultured stone guys, give me your opinion on this, because this is how I've dropped down. The one that I ripped the 2.5 here, since the 3.5 one goes back behind that one, I just left a gap there down to the lower, because cultured stone, 2 inches, 2.5, will come out to about here. And I think it would look cool that you still have some trim exposed right here on the front. Nice white trim with some brownish earth tone stone there. And you know, and see this, how there's a gap there? That can be bent up. You could kind of, while you're doing the stone, just, it's all gonna work out. But I've never seen this done, dropping it down and prepping with trim and cultured stone. So let me know if that's how you guys do it, because that's the only way I saw that would look good in the end. This video is, yeah, we're at 16 minutes, so I'll wrap it up soon, but I had a lot of stuff to cover. But yeah, this is how we did this. We did not cut 22.5 degrees on each and leave a straight gap between. What we did is we ripped a 45 this way, put that one on first, and then slid another 45 over that one to seal that in, and it worked really good. It looks really good. We got the porch up there. And let me go down here real quick. I'm gonna wrap it up. You go along with these videos and people get bored, and also it just takes forever to upload the videos. So, oh, one other quick tip though, when it comes to no matter how plumb you plumb your walls, like right here is a good example. It does not matter if that's installed perfectly plumb if it's not an equal measurement along your window. So some of these aren't plumb, but they're the exact measurement top to bottom, no matter where you look. That way, no one's gonna see something that's a little out of level. What they will see is the difference in that slanting up. We put the windows in perfectly plumb, so these are, if they're not perfectly plumb, they're still in the lines. I wanna say one more, that with construction, it's never perfect. And with experience, you'll be able to find ways to hide it. So when you come up here and you look up here, that looks like it's all flush. It really does. When we had a really bad wall here, and I remember when we built it, the OSB with the bond, it was weird and it curved out. And I was in a hurry, it was cold, nothing was built yet, and we're in the snow, so we said, just shoot it. We ended up with a problem over here. And I'll show you, I'm gonna bust my butt going down here. You can see on the inside corner one, that's another thing, this starts getting really high up here. We just had to drop it down another 40 inches or else your stone's gonna be way up. You would have like 15 feet of stone in the back, and then you would have like 6 feet of siding up there. It wouldn't look good, plus you're saving money with the stone, the labor. But anyways, right here, you can see that inside one, how it curves out. What we had to do on this one, it was so drastic, like I said, you don't wanna be way off, because then it would look bad. We literally had to take out almost a 1/2 inch of OSB on the back side here, still slant it, and it was so bad. As you get to the top, you'll see I had to be a 1/4 inch out up there. I just had to do it. I could have taken the horizontal board right there and diagonaled it, but then you're gonna see it in the soffit. You'll see a diagonal in the soffit. You would not see a square soffit. So that's what I mean. You have to find a way to put your imperfections in the spot where it's least likely to be seen aesthetically. And I think we pulled it off. Some people might not have done it that way, but it's the only way I could find. And the problem is if I would have kept digging deep into here, now you've got siding protruding past this. So those are the things you got to think about. But anyways, we got a lot of stuff coming on. We're going to be milling we're getting rid of the machine because I know that in April, this is going to be nothing but a mud pit. We're going to get rid of the machine. They're picking it up this coming up Monday. There comes the wind. We're going to mill that. I have a mill coming that we're going to set up right there. We're going to mill that. Now I have a structure where I can actually sticker it. The garage doors are being installed March 8th, which that's good. And I don't have to do that. I'm hiring that done. And the front door and the rest of the two side doors, they're coming March 5th for me to install. So now that we have, see this trim, it just looks cool. Now that we have all this done, we have a lot of siding we can do from the ground. We'll ladder up to a point, then we'll have the learning curve down with the siding. And then I'm thinking in May, maybe as late as June, when this is drier out here and we have better, longer days and weather, then we're gonna run it again, and then we're gonna do the high. You can even see we didn't get a lot of this high stuff done on the trim because it's so dangerous driving through here. Oh, real quick, the dust from the Boral cuts work phenomenal to put down on slippery spots. We actually filled a couple buckets up and we were able to sprinkle it down. But right now you can see water, slush. We took the day off. We knew it was gonna be warm, but all that water dripping on your head. The snow's up there and we're taking today off. It's supposed to get down to 18 degrees tonight. It'll freeze up again. Get here first thing tomorrow morning, Thursday, Friday, finish with the machine. And hopefully that won't be dripping on us because we have a lot of work to do in the back. But once these last 2 days, we figure we're just gonna do the trim and the siding at the same time in the late spring, early summer to get the siding done. And on a job this big, when it's mainly my son and I, it's just the way you have to do things. But anyways, we're getting to 21 minutes and I just want to do an update. Real excited about the warmer weather finally breaking. It's been pretty grueling the last 3 weeks. But anyways, I figured I'd give you some updates. This is Dave signing off.